It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. I'm talking TV. I'm talking movies. I'm talking anime, cartoons, sci-fi, and fantasy. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Ear Chronicles, where you're getting an earful of my thoughts on TV shows and movies that I like. And as we know, I've been in X-Men 97. Like, that's been the thing. That's our episode, or that's our show of focus right now. So, we're in this X Chat series, baby, and we are talking about episode 6 of X-Men 97. So before we even start, make sure you are subscribed. You know where to go and click that notification bell so you know when I'm coming back. Cause I've been a little shaky on when I do these reviews, cause life be lifing. Um, but please make sure you're subscribed if you come across this video and you like the content. And as always, like I said in the description of my channel, this is a community, or rather, I want this to be a community. So please leave your comments. I want to hear from you as well. Um, but without further ado, I sound like I'm introducing another speaker. Without further ado, anyways, jumping right into episode 6, which was highly anticipated. We needed episode 6 after what episode 5 did to us. Like, I'm still in more. It took everything in me not to wear black again. Like, just to wear all black. Um, because we're still sad. I'm still sad. I know y'all are still sad, right? We all gotta be so sad. But episode 6, it really gave us hope in a sense. And usually I would leave like this, like reviews for the end, but I just have to jump right in and just say, I really feel like episode 6 revitalized us just a little bit, enough to get us through the rest of the season. So I think it was perfectly put in the middle of the season, especially after episode 5. I think that it was a great way to kind of bring us out of that morose and down feeling a little bit, to give us again something to look forward to. And I think episode 6 did just that. Starting off, we get something new. And I feel like we get something new in the darn opening intro every single time. But this time, Gambit is gone, y'all. Gambit is gone. And but Nightcrawler's there now. They replaced Gambit with Nightcrawler. So that was really cool to see them add him into the intro song. We also see Nimrod inside of Master Mode. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that's about. But it can't be good. It can't be good. Um then the episode starts, right? It's a fight between the Shi'ar and the Kree. And we're in space and we see them fighting. We see Vulcan, we see Gladiator, Deathbird swoops in, we see Destiny and a few others from the Shi'ar that we've already been introduced to before. And I'm a little upset because I came to episode 6, Life Death Part 2, for Storm. That's the reason we're here. We're all here for Storm. Like, I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but we came for Storm. Why are we in space? Hello, somebody. Why are we in space? We didn't ask for this. She was supposed to get a whole episode to herself. We didn't ask y'all to be up in space, but they explain, or they rather show us why we're in space. So, in the middle of this fight, Deathbird attacks Ronan, and she announces, that she wants to know where the Supreme Intelligence is, and he needs to give up the location, otherwise she's gonna have his people killed. But before she get to do that, Lilandra, Empress Lilandra, announces her wedding to the one and only, and not so dead, Professor Charles Xavier. Okay, I want to call him Charles Eugene Xavier. That is not that man's middle name. But for some reason, I want to say Charles Eugene Xavier. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on. let's see, Charles Xavier, middle name. Does he even have a middle name? It's Francis. Charles Francis Xavier. I was like, I could not call this man Eugene, knowing that's not his middle name. So Charles Francis Xavier is yet alive, y'all. He is yet in the land of the living. Well, he may not be in the land on the land, but he in space, in the space of the living. And so Lilandra announces that she is getting married to him, much to the chagrin of her people. They are not too happy about a Terran man assuming the throne of the Shi'ar. And Deathbird being particularly the one who can't fathom it or doesn't want it the most. But that's neither here nor there. So they show us Lilandra and Charles having their little walk in the forest, picking flowers and all this stuff. And he's worried about being accepted. Naturally so. Because we seen the faces of the people, they were all like, is the Empress okay? She wants a Terran man to be our Emperor, to stand by her side. So he's questioning that. And he also wishes to go back to see the X-Men because we now see that he's alive, but they don't know that he's alive. And so he's kind of just explaining his fears to her about the entire situation. And then he also mentions that he feels like he's pretending with the Shi'ar, right? Because he's walking around in this exoskeleton armor that allows him to walk, right? He's walking around in his exoskeleton armor. He's able to walk because of this, and he feels like he's pretending, he's hiding a part of himself to be with her. Um, and she tells him, "You never have to pretend with me, Charles, because if everyone saw me, the real me, like they wouldn't even be able to grasp the real Elandra. So in a sense, I gotta pretend to these people too. But with us, when it's just us two, we ain't gotta worry about all that. We can just be ourselves." And then she, and again he's still just like, "But my X-Man, my X-Man, I need to see my X-Man." And so she says, "The virtue of a teacher lies in showing their students that they can walk on their own." That was beautiful. And he counters, "But only if he is sure that there are no more lessons that he can teach them." Also, love that. Love those. I'm a huge quote person. If that hasn't been made known, I love quotes. And so that one was a really that exchange I thought was beautiful because yes, as a teacher, he's like, "Okay, I'm teaching y'all. Y'all should be able to do stuff for yourself now. Like y'all shouldn't need me." Or rather, she's telling him they shouldn't need you, Charles. You didn't show them the way. And he's like, "You're right. However, I need to make sure that there are no more lessons I still need to teach them." And so, in the midst of that, we flip over to the reason why we're truly here, Storm and Forge, right? And so she's tending to him. Remember the adversary bit him in episode 4, Life Death Part 1, and he started to get this infection. It's a demonic infection, by the way. And so while she's tending to this, here go the adversary up in the rafters, up in the closet, up in the mirror, all over her shoulder, breathing down her neck, trying to convince Storm to let Forge die. The adversary's all in here. "You should leave. Run away. Leave him here. After what he did to you, he doesn't deserve you. You should go live your life. Go be the person you want to be. Give it all up." And she's like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to stay here, stick it through." Pretty much. She said, "I'm going to stick beside him. That's my man. And I'm going to stick beside him." And so the adversary traps her in this coffin and it starts showing her these old conversations. First of all, it starts changing his face to these monstrous looking faces of Storm, of Storm. No, was it one of her? It might have been one of her. Of Wolverine, of Jean, of Beast, and Rogue, and it's like these ugly pictures. I mean, ugly things. And then it starts repeating her conversation she had with Jean, like, "Oh, wonder what what it would be like to be human," and all those things that whole conversation, that whole exchange, the adversary is repeating back to her. And so Excuse me. Ooh, y'all, that ain't nothing but the. I yawn all day and night, and I get on here and here go the yawns. Get to yawning. So excuse me, y'all. And so she decides again. She's not giving up. She's not afraid to die, is what she tells the adversary, and it quickly tells her, "No, you're not. The problem is you're afraid to live." Oop, clocked her. Clocked my girl. It clocked that girl just a little bit. Clocked it just a little bit. Um, and it tells her, Forge didn't take your gifts. You already renounced them, sis. When it dropped her on the ground after she gets out of the coffin, he didn't take them. You renounced them. And then here come Forge, Doctor Strange Forge, Doctor Forge Strange, using his magic, the desert magic, and he starts chanting out and calling a demon back to the desert, weaver of lies. What is it? I cut your thread and I break your loom. I don't think anybody, did y'all catch that? As he's using this Doctor Strange-esque like energy, to wrap and entangle the adversary, to draw him into the book back to the desert, to banish him, or it, rather. He says, Weaver of lies, I tear your threads and I break your loom. I thought that was cold. I don't know if anybody thought that was as cold as I did, but I thought that was such a nice little bit, that they added in there. Because that's what the adversary does. It weaves lies, or rather, amplifies the lies that we've already been telling ourselves. And that's going to be key to note as I get further into the episode. So Forrest successfully banishes the adversary using desert magic that his mom taught him. And Storm is like, "Was there not anything else in that little book that can heal that wound that you got? Like, you got all this stuff now. Apparently, you're a wizard. You're a wizard, Forge. Like, is there nothing else that you can do?" And he's like, "Well, in this book, there was this magical cactus, um, called the Midnight Chala, and it can be found in the darkest place where there's no sunlight." And so she's like, "Okay, well, we're gonna have to go get that thing then. Let's go get it." And because he was gonna try to go by himself, and she like, "No, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it together." Um, so they start on that trek to go get the Midnight Chala. Back in space again. Why are we going back and forth? If y'all wanted a half episode, y'all should have split it up like y'all did Darmo Tendo in Life Death Part 1. But it was kind of good to kind of see the contrast going back and forth, but still should have been a full episode for Storm. But we got what we got. So we're back at the Shi'ar, and Araki is telling Lilandra very nicely, but really underhandedly, very covertly. Basically, he's like, "It's a lot going on, Empress. We in the middle of a war, you know. The people like some familiarity. They like sameness. They like structure. Are you sure a wedding is what we need right now?" So he was really nicely trying to tell her, "Girl, we ain't got time for you and this man get married. Cut the wedding. We don't need it. Nix it. All of it. Throw it away. We got bigger concerns." Um, and she's like, "No, it'll be okay. The war is almost up. The soldiers are reporting we're near victory." Here go Deathbird swooping in like a pink cockatoo. And she's basically like, "Nope, I object. We don't need this wedding." She's trying to turn us upside down. She's gonna mess up. She's trying to merge us with this Terran and his people, gonna lock us in an alliance with them. And we don't need that. And she says, and everybody's been raving about this line, he's trying to drag us into his Milky Way ghetto. Milky Way ghetto, Deathbird? Really? Listen, when I say she was dragging Earth, she dragged Earth for filth. Okay? She wanted the people to know that these backwater, back alley folks do not deserve to be partnered with the power, the amazingness, the grandeur, splendor of the Shi'ar. the perfection of the Shi'ar. Like, how dare we merge ourselves and bind ourselves with such lowly troglodytes? Ugh, like, ugh, how dare you even suggest Lalandra? Are you going mad? Pretty much. And so she invokes the right of Mdasha. And this is a test of loyalty, which he must renounce all of his memories, including that of his X-Men. And if that wasn't bad enough, and this is all in order for him to prove that he's going to be loyal to the Shi'ar and not to Earth. The cherry on top is, because Landra was like, he has vast psychic abilities. It won't be easy for him to get his memories erased. And she's like, well, it's okay, sister. We have someone of equal power. You're going to be the one to do it, sister. Gotcha. That bird is some kind of wicked, I tell you, that woman. So she gonna make Lalandra remove Charles's memories in order for him to prove he's loyal and for the wedding to go on. And so, in the midst of all of this, Charles and Gladiator have a conversation afterwards. They're looking up at the founder's statue, and he kind of starts to reminisce about Magnus. He's like, I miss my friend. I wish I could see him again. Uh, and here come Lalandra. So you've made your decision, huh? You just gonna go back? You gonna leave me, Charles? What about us, Charles? What about us? Like, why? Why would you? You gonna leave me? And he's like, listen, Lalandra, I understand, because if he decides not to go through with it, he can't come back. He gotta go. And if she decides she wants to stop, she'd have to give up her throne if she wanted to go with him. And she's like, I'm not doing that, because if I give up my throne, that's what Deathbird want. She want you to not do the trial, the test, or fail the test rather, and then go back to Earth and me to follow you so she can take the throne. And we can't have that, because she gonna be worse than Daken. If not, she gonna be like Daken, if not worse. And that's the brother, y'all, for those who are new here. Daken was their brother who tried to take over the world or the universe with the Mcon crystal, and the X-Man plus the Phoenix stopped him. So she ain't trying to let Deathbird assume the throne, because that's what she want. So we move back to Storm and Forge. And Forge, and they're walking through they're in the cave, right? And he apologizes to Storm for what he did. About time. Although he did kind of apologize last time in part one. But he apologizes for real. This time in Storm, she states, she was like, it's okay, Forge. I'm better this way as a human. And I accept my fate that I am better this way. And I'm like, girl, hush that talk. Don't be talking like that. Cause you're great no matter what. But like, nah, sis, we need you to be a mutant. And so as she's talking, he begins to talk to her. He was like, it reminds me of how back in the day, because the colonizers, how went the place where they went to go get this cactus used to be where his people were before the colonizers came in and took over and just ravaged everything. And so he said, it reminds this, you saying this, Storm, wanting to be human, that you better this way. It reminds me of this white lie that the settlers told the people, the government was telling the people. This white lie that, and as soon as he get ready to tell her what this white lie is and what it's about, he start, here come the poison, child. Start taking him out. So he pass out. And so he like, and he fall over. He like, I didn't want to tell you. It's why I wanted to go on my own in order to get the rest. To get to the midnight chala, you gotta go through the shaft over there, and I know you don't do tight spaces. And so she looked at that flashlight. She looked at that flashlight, and she looking at that tight space. It's a squeeze now. It is a squeeze, and she like, do I really? How much do I love this man? This was her. This was the equivalent. Storm going through that shaft, mine shaft, to go get that flowers, equivalent to Sheila going up the mountain to save her marriage. She like, I don't know what this is about. but I'm going up the mountain to save my marriage. And so she did go inside. And as she goes inside, we are then transported back. We transported back into what is. Oh no! Hold on! Hold on! Hold on! Scrolling. Hold on! I didn't scroll down too far, y'all. Hold on! I'm going back to my notes. Going through my notes. Okay, here we go. Yes, we're transported back to the trial. Excuse me. And Deathbird, in the middle of him getting his memories erased, so they're like, Charles, do you renounce Earth and your tearing ways? Yes, I do. Cool. Now, do you renounce your X-Men? Charles ain't saying nothing. Charles, do you renounce your X-Men? And here go Landra, baby, I need you to speak up now. Say yes, so we can get this over with. And here come Deathbird. I told you, traitor, traitor. This is what I warned y'all about, Council. He not trying. He wants to hold on and bring us down and mix us with his tearing people and they freak fluids. Here she go again, dragging Earth, dragging the people of Earth. Once again, freak fluids. Oh my goodness. And so in the midst of this, uh, her breaking up what was going on, uh, she accuses Lalandra again of going mad, being like the king, and she like, we need to just strip her of the throne right now. Strip her of the throne. And then she attacks her. Lalandra's like, sedition. And here goes, she brings out her claws and she reaches out because she brought an army, some warriors, some little soldiers with her, right? Fight breaks out. She reaches, try to get Lalandra, Gladiator, knocks her up against the wall. I mean, knocked her back, smooth into that. My back snapped. The way how hard he threw her to that wall. And he starts taking out her people. She reaches for again, they clawing on the ground. She slashes Xavier's legs and he fall down because it's just exoskeleton suit armor. And then he's like, hold on, 1 second. I done forgot who I am. Let me remind y'all. So he then uses his powers. He said, let me use my greatest gift that I forgot. And he uses his psychic abilities to transport them all into the astral plane. And he says, class is now in session. Bites his apple. Then we go back to the shaft, the mine shaft where Storm is in trying to get to the Midnight Chala. She drops a flashlight, Lord. And what do you know? Start coming out the shadows. The adversary. He's back. It's back. And it's trying to convince Storm. It said, you should just give up. You should accept being human. Um, this is what you want. You're better this way. Um, and so she's like resisting now at this point. She resists, and he's like, or it's like, you don't want to do this. Forget your powers. This is not, forget the X-Men. You're not even needed there. You're not wanted. You seen what you couldn't even do when you had them. You made no difference. So give it up. Let it go. And just be you. Be the human you. This is what you've always wanted. It's your daydream. Remember? And so she calls it out and she's like, hold on. Not a daydream demon. No. I was the one who believed that lie. Because she said it wasn't just the executioner's gun or ray, whatever that blast was, that was dampening her powers. It was herself. She believed the lie that she wasn't good enough. She believed the lie that she wasn't making a difference, that she was better off without her powers because no matter how hard she tried, it would seem like hate just kept piling on. The people got worse and worse. And so she said, after this, no. And he's like, don't, if you hear, it's getting desperate now because she's like, Forge got rid of you, you still here. And it's like, but listen. If If you try to get your powers back, the world is going to thunder upon you. It's going to rain down thunder on you harder than it's ever did before. Those people don't want you. The humans don't want you. It's going to be worse for you. And so she's like, you know what? I'm embracing these fears, these doubts that I had. So let them thunder, for I am lightning. Y'all, let them thunder, for I am lightning. I mean, y'all, the visuals. If I could put the clip in here, I put the clip in here. But I don't know if that's copyright, so I ain't gonna do that. I don't even know if I know how to do that. We see the outside of the canyon. The winds are swirling. Lightning shoots down. The wind comes. The lightning lights up. Her hair starts flowing. The lightning blasts the adversary out of the way. The adversary is gone. She shoots up into the stratosphere, through the atmosphere, into space. She's transforming. We see the black feathers engulf her skin, the lightning engulf her skin, and lo and behold, Storm has returned. Mistress of the elements is back, and she's better than ever. So not only does she get her powers back, she uses, and this was confirmed by Bo DeMaio, she uses the feathers of the adversary, her demons, her fears, her doubts, her shame. She uses that to make herself a brand new costume. The costume that we know to be her very first costume from back in the day. And it's the all black, has her headpiece, and yo, she got her hair back. Storm got her hair back. This is the mutant equivalent to how Stella got her groove back, how Storm got her groove back, and her hair. The mohawk is gone. Anti-mohawk stands, fans, anti-mohawk club. We up. Storm got our bundles. Storm got our inches. Storm got her hair back. Hey, 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 hey. She ain't bald no more, y'all. Our girl ain't bald. She ain't a bald headed scallywag. She got her hair in the bag. I'm sorry. I'm just so thrilled to see that she got her hair back, y'all. And I've seen a lot of people talk about the costume. Now, it ain't my favorite. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I know everybody's like, oh, it's my favorite costume. It's the black original costume. It's back, it's back. And while it's giving, she had her magical girl pose in the air. We saw where she flying through with the horses, lightning flashing. She's sending tornadoes, creating water spouts in the lakes and rivers, and then she looks at her reflection and she sees her beautifulness. She sees how beautiful she is. She sees, or now finally recognizes, is what I take from this scene as her reflection. She sees that she's worthy. She sees that she already had everything she needed. It was just within her, but she was letting that doubt hold her back. She was letting those fears hold her back, those demons, the adversary. And it comes in handy when we talk about the next quote I'll say. But real quick, I'll go back to that outfit. It ain't my favorite. I love the white. It's nostalgic for me. The 90s cartoon, it really sold me on the white outfit. Um, but I'm just glad that she's back and she feels whole. She feels whole. And I love that for her. So as she gets back, she's tending to she get obviously and another thing and another thing. While she out here gallivanting and flying across space and time and with the horses, we all like, girl, did you forget about Ford? You just left him dying in the cave. Like, girl, go get that cactus. But then they transport us back to the house. She's tending to his wounds, and so he like, what you mean that you grateful for the adversary, grateful for your demons or whatever. And she basically tells him, what are demons but reflections of our fear and shame, things we bury within us and hide from our loved ones? Oh, let me do it in her voice. I'm sorry. I have to do, I at least attempt to do it. What are demons but reflections of our fear and shame, things we bury within us and hide from our loved ones, even if they poison our hearts, until we heal our adversary by embracing it. Um, Beautifully put, wonderfully put. And if I could just add a therapeutic approach to this, or use a therapeutic lens for those who might be interested. For those of you who don't know, well, many of you won't know, but I'm a therapist. License, yes, he has his license. Thank you very much. Um, this whole sentence, and I think I might need to tweet about this and see if this was even thought of when they made this, but the whole part of what are demons but reflections are fear and shame, things we bury within us and hide from our loved ones, even if they poison our hearts. But here's the kicker: until we heal our adversary by embracing it. And so that brought me into the mind of a particular therapeutic approach called IFS, Internal Family Systems Therapy. And without going too much in detail, IFS is all about taking it believes in parts, right? That we are all made up of these parts that protect us, or seemingly protect us from being hurt, from our wounded selves or our traumatic past. And so we have these different parts that manifest themselves, to keep us from feeling that deep wound of hurt, rejection, isolation, or whatever the trauma may be. But it's to let us know that these parts that we have, it's okay to have them. There are no bad parts. But we can't let these parts drive us. And that's what Storm was allowing her fears, her doubts, and shame to drive and to lead her. But in a sense, the therapy wants us to then bring harmony, to get to know and acknowledge that we have these parts, but to bring harmony and balance to these parts so that they work in tandem with us as people and not controlling us. And so when that harmony is brought about and we befriend and get to know these parts of ourselves, that's where we begin to heal and become whole, the whole versions of ourselves that are compassionate and that is confident in who we are. And so I thought that was excellently put for me as a therapist. I thought that was a nice correlation or link to real life stuff. Y'all know I'm always going to try to link things to reality in our real world. And so that was what drew, drew my attention, that line, until we heal the adversary by embracing it. And that's what IFS wants us to do: embrace these parts of ourselves, the angry part, the sad part, um, the controlling part, the isolated part, and get these parts together, harmonize them, get to know them. Why are they here? What are they trying to protect you from? And once we know that, know their purpose, we can then begin to heal. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox. But I thought that was just brilliantly put, and I had to make note of it. And as she gets up, and Forge's like, "Why don't we take a vacation, girl? Let's get up out of here, babe. You know, the salve is working. I'm healed up almost. Let's take us a little vacation." She's like, "That's tempting. I mean, not a bad thought." He turns on the news. What do you do that for? It's Trish Tilby, TT, the reporter, reporting on the Genoshan massacre. And Storm looks at that news and she's just like, "No." And you can see the tears. Y'all, when she found out about Gambit, 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 not Gambit. Oh, say it isn't so. This cannot be. Not Gambit. I can just imagine. But I can tell you what, she better not get a hold of people responsible, which we find out at the end. Because it's going to be hell to pay. Fooling with her. She got her powers back now. And you took out one of her closest friends, because her and Gambit had a really special bond. Very special bond. So when she finds that out, Aurora, my heart goes out to her because she don't even know the half of it. So then we flip back to space, class in space. And Xavier is pretty much schooling the Shi'ar. And he's like, "So tell me how the Shi'ar got to be the empire that they are." And obviously Deathbird trying to talk, and he shut her down. Shuts her down, put an apple in her mouth, tell her that's 10 demerits. Because you opening your mouth, without raising your hand. Gladiator's like, what's going on? Everybody's confused. And so he starts explaining their history. And so he basically calls them colonizers. He said, the Shi'ar, y'all wipe out people, all these other cultures, these younger cultures. You cut them off at the knees before they can grow and become better. Because if you hadn't, they would rival your own culture, your own empire. And so, yeah, the Shi'ar are colonizers. And y'all keep others from rising up. And who sold y'all that lie? That in order to be bigger, better, and stronger, you have to cut other people off. And this again relates to a real life quote from the wonderful and great Toni Morrison. When she says in one of her interviews, if you can only be tall when someone else is on their knees, you have a problem. And that's pretty much what Xavier said. The Shi'ar can only be this big, bad, powerful empire because they cut off everyone else while they're still trying to grow, while they're still young and they're weak and they're vulnerable. And that was a perfect correlation in my mind. My mind immediately went to that quote because who told y'all this lie? It's pretty much what he told. He literally said that. Who sold this lie to y'all that in order to be more, you have to stop another who's less? Or something along those lines. I have to go back and get the real quote. But it is more so along those lines. Who sold that lie in order to be more another? There we go. I should have known I had it written down. Who sold the lie that in order to be more, another must be less? Mm. Let that sink in. Pretty much is what he told him. Let that sink in. And at this point, Charles has basically nearly won the entire council over. Because then he gets into, he's telling him that coexistence is messy. It's hard. I've done this with my ex-man, but it can be done. And it's rewarding. It's fruitful. It's beneficial. But in the midst, he's interrupted by psychic news. Like he gets this psychic wave. The globe starts spinning on the desk, bursts into flames. This huge figurine of Gambit appears. And it shows a skeletal version of him, and Charles is like, no, not Gambit. They were drinking and making love, having a good time, being married. No, my children, my people. And he freaks out. And in the midst of this freaking out, it interrupts the whole class in session and sends everybody back to their state where they are, in the Shi'ar room, council room. Um, and so he now knows about Genosha. And Lendra's like, Charles, what is going on? We've nearly convinced them. He's like, I gotta return. I must return. It's so much debt. Like, and she's like, no, Charles, if you do, we won't be together. He's like, if we gotta end this star-crossed love affair, so be it, Lalandra. I gotta get back to my kind. My children, my X-Men need me. I'm going home. And so he lets her know, as much as it breaks his heart, he got to go back to his people. The X-Men is going to need him. And so he's going back to home. He's returning. He's returning. And that ends that portion of the show. Well, the show is over now at this point, but then we get a small glimpse. We get Bolivar running from some mysterious figure in the dark. Then he gets shot in the black, shot in the back by this red ray blast. And he's like, I gave you the DNA, the master mode. My DNA for the master mode. I gave it to you. And who comes out of the shadows? None other than Sinister. Child, so Sinister was behind the attack, the massacre on Genosha. Are we surprised? No. But hey, that's what happened. So Boulevard gave him the DNA to access master mode. And that's what led to the Genosha massacre. Sinister. And so he says, you gonna be all right. You gonna live as long as you put your faith in Sinister. And y'all, this concludes my recap of episode 6, Life Death Part 2. I appreciate y'all for sticking through it. For those who stuck through, I know I had some bumbles and fumbles, but y'all, we still getting the hang of this thing. So please, please hang in there with me, bear with me, give me some grace. Um, but I'm excited. This journey has been super rewarding. Um, just for me, getting out of my own comfort zone. Being here talking to y'all is definitely me getting out of my comfort zone. Um, I know I have a podcast, so I do this weekly, right? But I'm not used to doing it by myself. So there are my own doubts and my own fears. Like, am I doing this thing right? Um, like, should I be doing this? I know a whole lot of, I don't know who's watching this. And so this episode, like I mentioned before, it was healing in a sense, not just for us for the morning of what happened in the episodes, but for us in reality, in our real lives, that let's work on those fears and doubts that we have, the shames that we have. Let's conquer those inner that inner turmoil that we have. I don't like to say inner demons. That's just not me because I ain't got no demons in me, baby. I'm covered in the blood. Um, the blood of Jesus over here. But the inner turmoil that we have, the inner fights, the inner struggles, the inner battles, the war that is raging on within us. Let us work to quell those storms within and bring tranquility to our being, to become one with ourselves and become whole and healed. And I accidentally called to set up a FaceTime show in the middle. See, people busy. I'm trying to give a speech and stuff messing up on my phone. But yes, let's work to become healed individuals and become whole and better people. And it starts with acknowledging those, whatever you want to call them, inner demons, call it that. It starts with that. And why do I keep, forgive me for my phone acting up for some reason? We must acknowledge those things. And once we acknowledge them, we can then begin the work to become healed individuals. And then thus spread that healing to others, help others become healed and whole. So it's a self journey, a journey of self discovery, if you will. And it's a beautiful one when you start down that path. So, as I said, this episode was not just for fans of a cartoon, but it was for us. And so I'm excited for this journey and I look forward to continuing it as I heal my own self. And get in therapy, y'all. I told you I'm a therapist. Get in therapy. I'm a huge proponent for therapy. Get in therapy. I'm in my own therapy, as we all should be. So, thank you for sticking around. Again, my apologies for these unforeseen bumbles and stumbles. I have to have my notes so I can keep track of what I'm going on. But in the midst of having my notes out, I'm over here clicking on stuff in my phone. Um, Messing up, and I keep seeing call and FaceTime stuff popping up. So forgive me for that. Um, but yeah, thank you all for sticking out with me, hanging in here with me. Please, please leave your comments and your thoughts, ways that you think I could do this better, um, thoughts on the episode, the recap, what you think about the show so far. Um, I want to hear it. Again, this is the community. I want to hear from you. So again, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, The E.A.R Chronicles. Make sure you're also following me on Instagram and Twitter at The E.A.R Chronicles on Instagram and just at E.A.R Chronicles on Twitter. And I appreciate any support that you're willing to give me. This is the raw and unfiltered. Like I said, I know some people may like, you need to get yourself together. You can't be doing all this is my channel. Okay, what happens over here happens over here. This is live. This is real. This is authentic. I'm letting y'all know, like, I ain't cutting none of this out. I ain't editing nothing. You getting it straight from the source, the way it happens as is. Okay, so that's one thing I have healed, and I'm working on. I think I'm reached the precipice of I'm not caring what other people think. You can think it's unprofessional, you can think it's unsavory, unceremonious, whatever you want to think, and maybe it is. And I don't like to have these types of things pop up during my stream, during my whatever. But it is what it is because I'm real. And I'm working on embracing that part of me that doesn't mind being the real me. So, before I bore you any longer, thanks for hanging out with me at the Ear Chronicles, where you're always getting an earful of my thoughts on TVs and movies I like. So, until next time, y'all, I'm out.